Okay, before I get started here with day 3 good picks and my top drafting teams overall, I just want to say I will have in the description box down below, I will have the video links for day 1 and my day 2 videos. And with that being said, let's just dive right into what I thought some of the good picks of day 3 were, and who my top drafting teams were, and the other teams that were not so much. Okay, one of my good day 3 picks was Bobby Massey, the offensive tackle out of Ole Miss. He was drafted by the Arizona Cardinals. This guy is an absolute steal in the 4th round for somebody that should have probably been a late 1st round, early 2nd round selection. And I would not be surprised to see him start week 1, perhaps at right tackle. Okay, another one of my day 3 good picks was Alameda Tiamu from Washington, who was drafted by the Steelers in round 4. He is a prototypical 3-4 nose tackle. He's huge. He's 348 pounds. Casey Hampton isn't getting any younger. He's going to be 35 when the season starts in September. And he could get lots of early playing time. And they will, I would imagine they will groom him to be Casey Hampton's eventual successor at nose tackle. Also, another top pick I have in day 3 was Lamar Miller, who was drafted by the Miami Dolphins in the 4th round, who came from the U. Yes, they do have kind of a crowded backfield when you figure in they have Daniel Thomas and Reggie Bush and maybe even Steve Slayton if they bring him back. But not even Reggie Bush is the home run hitter that Lamar Miller is. He ran a sub 440 at the combine this year, and if he gets even a crease of daylight, you can say goodbye. So I think for that reason alone, he will give an immediate impact into the Dolphins offense, and I mean he may not get a lot of reps, but I believe the ones that he will get will count. Okay, I go from some of my top day 3 picks to now my top drafting teams overall. My first one is the Philadelphia Eagles. This was just a overall top to bottom really great draft. Defensive tackle Fletcher Cox is the best. He is the best defensive lineman in the draft, and he should start from day 1 at defensive tackle. Michael Hendricks, the linebacker from Cal, he may not start right away, but he will be an eventual starter at linebacker. Vinny Curry, another defensive tackle from Marshall, he should be, well, probably won't be a starter right away, but he will see significant time. And considering they got him late in the 2nd round, he could have gone early in the 2nd round, and it would have been a good selection there too. Otherwise, later on in the draft, he had Brandon Boykin, the cornerback out of Georgia, who's a great return man, so he could help in that regard, along with Deshaun Jackson. I mean, maybe you could put Boykin on kick returns because Deshaun Jackson can still do punt returns, and that sort of thing. And also, almost kind of pains me to say this because he went to Iowa, but I will give credit where it is due. Marvin McNutt going in the 6th round, I thought, wow, I couldn't believe he went that late, because I mean, he is one of University of Iowa's top wide receivers all time, and I thought, just overall, the Eagles had a great draft. Okay, another great draft I seen was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yes, I know if you saw my opening day 1 video, you saw I had him as one of the losers, but that was only because they didn't get Trent Richardson and they didn't get Morris Claiborne. But they traded down 2 spots with Jacksonville, and they ended up getting the best safety in the draft in Mark Barron out of Alabama, who should be an instant starter from week 1. And then also trading back up into at the end of the 1st round to get Doug Martin, the running back out of Boise State. And then 2nd round, they drafted a tackling machine in Levante David from Nebraska. And And overall, I mean, and you look at some of their lower picks. I'm not going to mention them just right off the top, but they had a great draft as well. Okay, and another great draft I had was the Cincinnati Bengals. Yes, the Cincinnati Bengals. Remember when they took Akili Smith number 3 overall in 1999? Or they took Dan Wilkinson number 1 in 1994 overall? Well, those days are long gone, because their last 2 drafts have been excellent. Because you figure last year, with their first round pick, they drafted A.J. Green out of Georgia, the wide receiver, who's turned into a legit number 1 wide receiver. And then in the second round last year, they took the quarterback Andy Dalton out of TCU, and he had a really good rookie season. But okay, then this year their first round pick, they got Drake Kirkpatrick out of Alabama, the cornerback. And then they also got Kevin Zeitler, the offensive guard from Wisconsin, late in the first round. Then round 2, they got Devin Still, the defensive tackle out of Penn State, who he could have been a late first round pick also, so they got good value there. And then they also got Mohamed Sanu, the wide receiver out of Rutgers, who will give Andy Dalton a big target there. And I just thought overall they had a great draft for the second year in a row. Okay, some of my honorable mention go to the Colts, obviously, for drafting Andrew Luck, but they gave him a couple weapons. Number 1, Coby Fleener, his tight end also from Stanford. And then they drafted another tight end named Dwayne Allen from Clemson in the second round also. So those were a couple good draft picks there. And also, I thought the Vikings overall had a good draft when you figure in they got Matt Kalil, number 4 overall, the offensive tackle from USC. And also trading back up into the first round to get Harrison Smith, the safety from Notre Dame. Then in the third round, they got Josh Robinson, the cornerback from UCF, who was the fastest cornerback at the combine this year, and he should be able to make at least an impact on. That is probably a nickelback to start, and he may be able to become an eventual starter down the road. And also, I thought the Ravens had a decent draft with getting Courtney Upshaw in the second round when he was a first-round talent, and also drafting Kelechi Osemele from Iowa State at offensive guard. Although he did play left tackle in college, he probably projects more as a guard in the pros. Then drafting Bernard Pierce in the third round, the running back out of Temple, who will be able to give Ray Rice a breather now and then. Okay, since I went over some of my better drafting teams, I will go over some of my not-so-good drafting teams. And I really hate to beat a dead horse here, but I'm going to anyway. My worst drafting team this year was the Chicago Bears. Who in the blue hell drafted this team? Was it Phil Emery? Was it Mike McCaskey? I don't know. Because Shea McClellan, he might be a good player, but I think they reached for him a little bit. I think Mel Kiper Jr. really overrated this draft. He gave it a C+. Really? No, I don't think so. Alshon Jeffrey going in the second round, that was not a very good pick either. They perhaps could have gotten a Stephen Hill, they could have gotten somebody that knows how to get separation from a defender, which is something Alshon Jeffrey rarely did at South Carolina. And yes, he may be a good red zone target, but he's got to be able to break off the line first. I didn't think that was a very good pick, but that's just my opinion. And then you draft a safety named Brandon Harden, who was injured all of last year out of Oregon State. And you did not address your number 1 need, and that is offensive linemen. I mean, granted, I am a Viking fan, so this doesn't really break my heart that much. But with that being said, are you trying to get Jay Cutler killed? I'm just saying here. But you guys had a shitty draft. Another poor draft I thought was the Seattle Seahawks. They horribly reached for Bruce Irvin at pick number 15. When on a lot of people's boards, he wasn't expected to go off the board until like the second or third round. But you pick him in the middle of the first? Oof. You better hope he's as good as you think he is, because otherwise this is going to come back to bite you in the ass. Otherwise, and they also took Bobby Wagner, the linebacker from Utah State, and I thought they reached for him as well. And then, when you sign a quarterback like Matt Flynn in free agency, why would you draft Russell Wilson in round number 3? Hello, McFly? Anyone? That's like, yes, I think Russell Wilson is a good player. Don't get me wrong here, but when you pick up a Matt Flynn in free agency and you're giving him a boatload of money, what do you expect Russell Wilson to do? Carry a clipboard? Yeah, they still have Tavares Jackson, but I just didn't get their draft strategy at all. Okay, my other big loser was the Jacksonville Jaguars. Outside of trading up 2 spots to get Justin Blackmon, which is a great pick, I mean, just because it filled a dire need on the Jaguars team, especially for their offense. Because outside of Maurice Jones-Drew last year, they had nobody on offense. That's probably the reason why. That's probably at least part of the reason why Blaine Gabbert sucks so bad. But then you take a punter in the 3rd round named Brian Anger from Cal, and yes, he might have been the number 1 punter in the draft, but you don't take a punter with your 3rd round pick, unless he's like the second coming of Ray Guy or Shane Luckler or somebody like that, you know. I just didn't get that pick, and they didn't even really address their secondary issues, because I mean, yeah, they did draft a cornerback from Florida State in round number 6, but that was the only cornerback they took. Otherwise they didn't address their secondary woes at all. And then other losers I thought were the Saints. Well, obviously since they didn't have a 2nd round pick because of the Bountygate scandal, but other than that, the only decent pick I thought they had was Nick Toon out of Wisconsin, the wide receiver. And also, I didn't think the Redskins really had that great of a draft outside of RG3. And then in round 4 they took Kirk Cousins, another quarterback out of Michigan State. Why would you take him? Why would you take another quarterback when you took RG3 number 2 overall and you gave up 3 first round picks and a couple other picks to move up in the draft to take him? And then the Raiders, they only had like 6 picks in the draft. A lot of that was due to the Carson Palmer trade with the Bengals, but the only real pick of theirs that I really thought was any good was Jaron Kreiner out of Arizona. He might be able to have an immediate impact, but other than that, there wasn't really much to like about their draft. Anyway, let me know what you thought down below and in the comments. Like what you saw, and subscribe up above if you haven't already. I really appreciate it. And I can't wait till August when I start doing my NFL preview and prediction videos for each division, and my playoff predictions and who I think will be in the Super Bowl and that sort of thing. But anyway, stay tuned for that, and I'm signing off. Good night.